Rachel leaned her forehead against the cool glass of the train window, watching the world blur past in smudges of green and gray. The daily commute to Ashmore had become a ritual of sorts, a way to momentarily escape the tangled mess of her life that seemed too knotted to ever unravel. Each morning, the train would carry her away from the dreariness of her cramped apartment on Arbroath Street, offering a brief reprieve and a sense of fleeting freedom. The train clattered along the tracks, its rhythmic rocking nearly hypnotic. As they passed through the suburbs, Rachel's attention was drawn to a charming house that perched close to the line, its garden ablaze with the dappled sunlight of early spring. She had come to know the cadence of its inhabitants' lives, albeit from afar, a young couple that seemed effortlessly happy and harmonious. To her, they embodied a perfect picture she had once envisioned for herself. From her seat by the window, Rachel allowed herself the indulgence of crafting imaginary narratives about them, how the man with his gentle demeanor would bring morning coffee to his partner, a woman of striking grace and poise. This fantasy offered a balm to Rachel's own discord, casting her life's unresolved notes into stark contrast against their symphony of seeming contentment. But today was different. As the train whooshed by, Rachel's eyes widened in surprise and disbelief. On the porch, a man stood alone, pacing back and forth with a restless energy, his features drawn in an expression of worry. The absence of the equally familiar woman was conspicuous, unsettling. Rachel felt a pang of premonition twist in her gut. The train rattled on, leaving the house behind. But Rachel's thoughts lingered. Later that morning, as the train pulled into Ashmore's bustling station, her mind was firmly tethered to the image of that lone, disconsolate figure. It gnawed at her, refusing to be relegated to the recesses of her thoughts. Rachel stepped onto the platform, glancing around at the bustling crowd with a growing sense of unease. She felt an inexplicable urge to uncover what had shifted, what had changed, in the lives of those anonymous people she watched from the safety of her commute. An idea began to form, insistent in its urgency. As the day unfolded around her, intrigue began to claw its way into concern. She decided she would be on the lookout, keeping track of the couple's house with a curiosity that bordered on obsession. Rachel promised herself she'd maintain a safe distance. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, and that somehow she was part of it all. Rachel's routine visitations on the train took on a new depth of purpose. Every trip past the house felt like it magnified the mystery surrounding the couple. She noted the man's increasingly haggard appearance and the ever-present absence of the woman she had come to associate with an ideal life. Questions spun in her mind. Where had she gone? Why did despair seem to hang like a shroud around the man she watched? Determined to find answers, Rachel decided to take a chance. One morning she arrived at the Ashmore station well ahead of her typical timetable, her heart thudding with anxious anticipation. She resolved to see what lay beyond the facade of the house that had captured her imagination. Walking down Willow Lane towards the house, she felt acutely aware of every sound, every movement, the crunch of gravel underfoot, a minor percussion to her heightened senses. When she arrived at the house, she paused at the garden gate, its rusty hinge groaning in protest as she pushed it open. Here up close, the house seemed less idyllic and more lived in, a universe of stories imprinted in each flake of peeling paint and flowerbed run wild. Rachel approached the porch cautiously, unsure of what to say or how to explain her intrusion. But as she reached the top step, the door swung open with surprising abruptness, revealing the man she had seen countless times from the train. His face was a geography of worry, deep lines etched into his features by some unknown burden. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone laced with suspicion and a hint of fatigue. Rachel hesitated, her rehearsed explanation momentarily escaping her. I'm sorry for coming unannounced. I've seen you from the train. I couldn't help but notice." She trailed off, not daring to finish the thought that may sound both invasive and absurd. To her surprise, he beckoned her in, a strange, resigned weariness grounding his actions. Inside, the house was neat, albeit frayed around the edges, much like its occupant. As they sat in the dimly lit living room, he introduced himself as Adam and began to speak. Adam's confession spilled out slowly, a tale of a vibrant relationship tainted by a tragedy that had left him alone. His partner, Rebecca, had succumbed to a sudden illness just weeks earlier, leaving his world shrouded in a fog of mourning and isolation. He grappled with his grief in the house they had shared, struggling to keep her memory alive amidst the desolation. As Rachel listened, her heart ached with a profound empathy. The stories she had spun in her mind, fanciful renditions of their lives, now lay in stark contrast to the gravity of reality. She realized her meddling curiosity had inadvertently opened a door to healing for both Adam and herself. In the days that followed, Rachel found herself visiting Adam, their shared connections fostering a friendship born from unexpected circumstances. Over time, she saw life slowly re-enter the house, a gentle song of hope threading its way through the sorrow. Rachel never stopped taking the train to Ashmore. But now, as she looked out the window, she no longer saw a tableau of strangers' lives. Instead, she saw a testament to resilience and the unexpected connections that can turn the tide of despair into a possibility for new beginnings.